Chosen ones, listen carefully. What I am about to share is not for everyone. This message is urgent and it carries weight. If you are not walking the divine path of God, if your heart is not aligned with truth, obedience, and spiritual depth, this message will not resonate with you. You may even feel uncomfortable and click away. And that is perfectly fine. This message is only for those who are truly chosen by God, those who have been set apart, refined, and called for a higher purpose. If you are still here, it is not by accident. This message has reached you at the exact moment your soul needed confirmation. God has allowed this word to find you because you are ready to hear it. Chosen one, you are not only chosen, you are favored. You are God's favorite chosen one, and there are clear signs that prove it. Some of those signs you have lived through quietly. Others you are still trying to understand. Today, I will reveal why your life has been different, why your path has been heavy, and why God's hand has never left you.
Understanding God's favor, what God's favorite really means. Now let me slow this down and speak to your spirit, because this is where many people get confused, even believers. When I say God has favorites, I am not speaking from emotion. I am speaking from spiritual truth. God loves everyone, yes, but God does not entrust everyone the same way. Favor is not about love alone. Favor is about assignment, trust, and responsibility. You see, chosen one, God's favor is not comfort first. God's favor is weight first. When God favors someone, he places his hand on their life and says, I trust you with this burden. I trust you with this calling. I trust you with this level of pressure. That is why many people want the blessing, but they could never survive the process you went through. They admire the strength, but they could not endure the crushing that produced it. This is why your life never looked average. Even when you tried to live normal, something always pulled you deeper. You were never satisfied with surface-level faith. You could not pretend. You could not stay asleep. Something in you kept asking questions, kept searching for truth, kept longing for more of God. That was not rebellion. That was favor awakening inside you. Let me tell you something very clearly. God's favorite does not mean God spoils you. It means God trains you. It means God corrects you more. It means God isolates you more. It means God allows certain pains in your life that others will never understand. Not because he enjoys your suffering, but because he sees what you will become. Many of you struggled with this growing up. You watched others live freely while you carried a seriousness you could not explain. You felt different in rooms you were supposed to belong to. You outgrew people without trying. You lost connections that once felt safe. And quietly, you wondered, God, why me? Why is my path so heavy? Why do I feel so alone even when I am faithful? Chosen one, that was not rejection. That was selection. God's favor separates before it elevates. Always. Before God uses a vessel publicly, he works on it privately. Before he trusts you with influence, he strips you of dependence on people. That is why your life had seasons where no one could help you. No one could save you. No one could fully understand you. You were forced to rely on God, sometimes without even knowing how to pray properly. And listen carefully. Favor does not always look like success. Sometimes it looks like delay. Sometimes it looks like loss. Sometimes it looks like being misunderstood. God's favorite is often the one being refined while others are being entertained. While others are distracted, you are being developed. You may have noticed that when you tried to compromise, peace left you. When you tried to walk away from God, something inside you pulled you back. When you tried to settle for less, discomfort followed you. That is favor. God would not allow you to live beneath your calling, even if you wanted to. This is where I need you to release guilt. Many chosen ones struggle with guilt when they hear words like favorite. They think, why me and not them? But understand this, favor comes with accountability. Favor comes with warfare. Favor comes with a price. If people truly understood what your favor cost you, they would not envy it. God did not choose you because you were better than others. He chose you because He knew you would obey, even when it hurt. He knew you would still seek Him when answers did not come. He knew you would not completely harden your heart, even after betrayal, disappointment, and delay. You were favored because God saw endurance in you. He saw faith that could survive silence. He saw humility that could survive elevation. And He saw a heart that could be trusted with truth. This is why God's favorite often feels tired, not physically, but spiritually. You have carried things for others. You have interceded without being asked. You have felt responsibility without title. You have cared deeply while receiving little in return. That is not weakness. That is the mark of one who has been entrusted. Let me say this plainly. If God did not favor you, He would have let you blend in. He would have let you remain comfortable. He would have let you stay asleep. But He did not. He kept waking you up. He kept pushing you forward. He kept pruning you. That pruning hurt, but it saved your destiny. And here is something that will calm your spirit. God's favor is not competition-based. Someone else being chosen does not cancel your calling. God has many chosen ones, but each assignment is unique. You are not replaceable. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where God needs you to be for what He is preparing to release through you. Chosen one, your life makes sense when you view it through favor, not failure. Through calling, not punishment. Through preparation, not delay. Now that you understand what God's favor truly means, you are ready to recognize the signs. And some of these signs have been following you your entire life. Stay with me. The next part will explain things you have felt, but never had words for. Let me take you a little deeper, because there is another layer to God's favor that most people never talk about, and I do not want you to miss this. God's favorite is often the one who has been misunderstood the longest. People looked at you and judged your journey without knowing your prayers. They questioned your pace without seeing your battles. They assumed weakness where there was actually restraint. That misunderstanding was allowed, chosen one. God was protecting you from premature exposure. You see, when God favors someone, He often hides them in plain sight. You were overlooked, underestimated, even ignored at times, and it hurt. But that hiding preserved you. If people had truly seen what was inside you too early, they would have either tried to use you, control you, or destroy what God was forming. So God covered you. Silence became your shelter. Obscurity became your training ground. This is also why you learned lessons the hard way. God did not always rescue you immediately. Sometimes He let you walk through the fire just long enough to change you, but never long enough to consume you. That is favor. God trusted that the fire would refine you, not ruin you. Others would have broken under the same pressure, but God knew your capacity. And notice this about your life. Every time you thought you were finished, God restarted you. Every time you thought you missed it, God redirected you. Every time you felt empty, He filled you again, quietly, personally, faithfully. That is not coincidence. That is covenant. So if you ever wondered why you survived things that should have destroyed you, here is your answer. God's favor was guarding you even when you did not recognize it. His hand was steady even when your faith was shaking. And today, He is reminding you of this not to inflate your pride, but to strengthen your spirit. Because the next signs will require you to stand firm in this truth. You were never abandoned. You were being prepared. Sign: inner separation, unexplained burdens, and spiritual pressure. Chosen one, this is where many of you quietly nod your head and say, "This is me." Long before you had language for spirituality, before you understood calling or purpose, you felt different. Not better, not superior, just different. You noticed things others ignored. You felt things more deeply. You questioned things that everyone else accepted without thought. And from a very young age, there was an inner separation taking place inside you. You did not choose it. It chose you. You often felt like you were standing slightly outside of life, observing instead of fully blending in. Even in rooms full of people, you felt alone. Not lonely in the human sense, but internally separate, as if your soul did not fully belong to the environment you were placed in. That feeling was not social awkwardness, it was spiritual distinction. God begins separating his chosen ones internally long before he separates them externally. That is why you carried emotional and spiritual weight that others around you did not seem to notice or care about. While others laughed easily, you carried concern. While others were careless, you were cautious. While others chased pleasure, you searched for meaning. And many times you wondered what was wrong with you. Why can't I just be like everyone else? There was nothing wrong with you. You were being formed. One of the clearest signs of being God's favored chosen one is the burden you carry that you cannot explain. You feel responsible for things that are not technically your responsibility. You care deeply about people who may never care back. You feel heavy when injustice happens, even if it does not affect you personally. You feel restless when things are out of alignment, even if no one else sees the problem. That burden is not anxiety. It is assignment. God places weight on those he trusts. And many of you felt this pressure early, pressure to mature faster, pressure to understand deeper, pressure to carry yourself with restraint while others acted freely. You were forced to grow up emotionally and spiritually while others were still playing. That was painful. It was lonely. And it was necessary. Let me speak directly to something many of you experienced. You were misunderstood by family, not because they hated you, but because they could not read you. Your depth made them uncomfortable. Your silence confused them. Your boundaries felt like rejection to people who did not understand self-control. And instead of being celebrated, you were often labeled as difficult, distant, or strange. That rejection wounded you. But it also protected you. Because if they had fully understood you too early, they might have tried to shape you into something God never intended. So God allowed misunderstanding to keep you untouched, hidden, preserved. Another sign you are God's favorite chosen one is this constant spiritual pressure you feel to become better. Even when no one is watching, even when there is no reward, you feel convicted easily. You cannot stay comfortable in wrong places for long. You cannot fake faith. You cannot live double lives without inner unrest. When you try to compromise, peace leaves. When you try to shrink yourself to fit in, something inside you resists. When you try to ignore your calling, discomfort grows. That pressure is not condemnation. It is guidance. God does not pressure everyone like this. He pressures the ones he plans to use. And let me say this gently. Many of you became tired from this pressure, spiritually tired, not because you lack faith, but because you have been carrying more than people realize. You have been strong for too long. You have been the one who holds it together, the one who listens, the one who absorbs. And sometimes you wished someone would carry you for once. God saw that too. This is why chosen ones often experience emotional exhaustion without obvious cause. Your soul has been working even when your body was resting. You have been processing, discerning, interceding, resisting, and enduring. Quietly, constantly, faithfully. You also noticed that your mind works differently. You reflect deeply. You replay conversations. You analyze meaning. You seek truth beneath words. That depth sometimes made you feel heavy, but it also made you wise beyond your years. You learned lessons through observation and pain rather than instruction. And because of that, you became a safe place for others. People opened up to you unexpectedly. Strangers trusted you. Friends leaned on you. You became the listener, the advisor, the emotional anchor. And yet, when you needed support, there were very few who could meet you where you were. That imbalance hurt, but it was also revealing. It revealed that God was shaping you to be a pillar, not a passenger. Chosen one, the reason your inner world feels intense is because your calling is not shallow. God does not place deep oceans inside people meant to live in puddles. Your depth matches your destiny. Your pressure matches your purpose. Your burden matches your assignment. And here is the part that will bring you peace. This season of pressure is not permanent. Pressure creates clarity. Pressure produces strength. Pressure refines focus. God is not crushing you. He is concentrating you. If you felt this sign deeply, understand this. You were never weak. You were being prepared. You were never odd. You were being set apart. And you were never alone, even when it felt that way. The next signs will explain why so much resistance came against you from the outside and why your life never followed an easy path. Stay with me. What you are about to hear will answer questions you have been carrying for years. Sign: divine protection, strange delays, and supernatural timing. Chosen one, this sign is subtle, but once you see it, you can never unsee it. When you look back over your life honestly, you will notice a pattern that cannot be explained by logic alone. Things did not always work out the way you planned. Some doors closed suddenly. Some opportunities slipped away at the last moment. Some paths you were excited about collapsed without warning. And for a long time, you thought those moments were failures. They were not. They were protection. God's favorite chosen ones are rarely rushed into anything. They are delayed, redirected, and sometimes stopped entirely. Not because they are unworthy, but because timing matters more than desire. You wanted certain things earlier. Relationships, positions, breakthroughs, answers. But God saw what you could not see. He saw what was waiting for you on that path, and in His mercy, He blocked it. Many of you were saved by delays you once cried about. Think about it. There were moments when you were frustrated with God. You prayed, fasted, hoped, and still nothing moved. Others advanced while you stayed still. Others celebrated while you waited. And deep inside, you asked God why He kept holding you back when you were ready to move forward. But now you can see it clearly. If God had allowed you to step into certain spaces too early, you would have been wounded beyond repair. You would have trusted the wrong people. You would have been exposed without preparation. You would have been elevated without covering. So God delayed you. And that delay felt like denial, but it was not. It was divine timing. Another sign of God's favor is how often you were protected without realizing it. Accidents that should have happened but did not. Situations that could have turned dangerous but somehow resolved. Decisions you almost made but changed your mind at the last second. Words you were about to say but held back. That was not intuition alone. That was God intervening quietly. God guards what He favors. There were also relationships God removed that you begged Him to keep. People you loved deeply. Connections you invested in. Plans you built around them. And when they left, it felt like loss. It felt unfair. It felt like abandonment. But later, sometimes much later, you realized what God saved you from. The manipulation, the draining, the limitation, the destruction. Chosen one, God is not sentimental about what threatens your assignment. If someone could not go where God was taking you, they had to be removed. And even though it hurt, it preserved your future. That is why chosen ones often experience repeated endings, not because they fail at relationships, but because their path is narrow. Not everyone fits on it. Another pattern you may have noticed is this. You arrive late, but you arrive right. You may not be the first, but when you step in, things shift. You may not move fast, but when you move, it is effective. That is because God is more concerned with alignment than speed. Speed without alignment destroys favored vessels. God took time with you. He allowed seasons of stillness, seasons where nothing changed externally, but everything was changing internally. Your discernment sharpened, your patience grew, your ego weakened, your dependence on God deepened. You thought you were stuck, but you were being stabilized. This is why when things finally begin to move, they move quickly and decisively. When God opens a door for a chosen one, it is not partial. It is not confusing. It is not forced. It is clear, solid, and sustained. Another sign of divine favor is how often things fall apart just before they would have cost you everything. You were close, too close, and suddenly it ended. You did not understand why at the time. You felt embarrassed. You felt disappointed. You felt set back. But God knew that if you had gone one step further, the damage would have been deeper. So He intervened early. Chosen one, God does not rescue everyone at the edge. He rescues the ones He has plans for. You may also notice that your life operates on a different clock. Your milestones do not match society's timeline. You do not hit things when expected. You do not follow the usual sequence. And for a long time, that made you feel behind. But you are not behind. You are aligned. God's timing is precise, not popular. He waits until your character can carry what your destiny requires. He waits until your heart can handle influence. He waits until you will not idolize the gift above the giver. That waiting felt painful, but it protected you from pride, from burnout, and from destruction. And let me address something important. Many chosen ones confuse delay with disobedience. They think, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe God is punishing me. But listen to me carefully. If God was punishing you, you would not feel His presence in the waiting. You would not feel His guidance. You would not feel His correction. Silence without conviction is abandonment. Silence with conviction is preparation. You were never abandoned. Even in seasons where nothing worked, something was working. God was building your foundation. He was reinforcing your inner structure. He was teaching you to trust Him without visible reward. And that lesson is priceless. Chosen one, divine favor often looks like protection that disappoints you at first. It looks like timing that frustrates you. It looks like doors closing when you feel ready. But later, it looks like peace. It looks like stability. It looks like survival. You are alive today because of delays. You are standing today because of closed doors. You are sane today because God did not give you everything you asked for. And now, the timing is shifting. You can feel it. The weight is changing. The pressure is adjusting. God is preparing to move you, but this time it will be with clarity, not chaos. The next sign will explain why, despite God's protection, you still faced intense opposition, betrayal, and resistance. And once you understand that, you will stop questioning your worth forever. Sign: enemy attacks, betrayal, and unexplained resistance. Chosen one, this is the part many people avoid talking about, but it is one of the clearest confirmations of God's favor on your life. If you have faced unusual resistance, unprovoked hostility, betrayal from those you helped, or attacks that seemed to come out of nowhere, I want you to listen carefully. This was not bad luck. This was not coincidence. And it was not because you were doing something wrong. It was because you were marked. The enemy does not waste energy on people who pose no threat. He studies potential. He targets assignment. And long before you understood who you were, something in the spiritual realm recognized what you carried. That is why opposition followed you, sometimes from very early in life. You did not go looking for trouble. Trouble found you. Many of you noticed this pattern. You entered environments with good intentions, clean hearts, and honest motives, yet something always stirred against you. People misunderstood you without reason. You were judged without being known. You were resisted without explanation. And the more pure your intentions were, the stronger the pushback became. That is not normal life resistance. That is spiritual recognition. One of the hardest signs of being God's favored chosen one is betrayal. And not betrayal from enemies, but from people you loved, helped, and supported. People you prayed for. People you covered. People you stood by when no one else did. And when they turned on you, it shattered something inside you. You asked yourself, how could they do this to me? What did I do wrong? Why does this keep happening? Chosen one, betrayal is not random. It is often proximity to purpose. Judas did not come from outside the circle. He came from within. And the same pattern follows chosen ones today. Those closest to your growth are often the most uncomfortable with your calling. Your light exposed what they were hiding. Your discipline confronted their compromise. Your growth reminded them of their stagnation. And instead of rising with you, they tried to pull you down. That betrayal was painful, but it was also revealing. It revealed who could not go with you. It revealed who admired you but resented your obedience. It revealed who benefited from you but could not honor you. God allowed it not to break you, but to separate you cleanly. Another sign you are God's favorite chosen one is character assassination. People speaking about you in ways that do not match who you are, twisting your intentions, questioning your motives, labeling you incorrectly. And the most frustrating part was this: you felt unable to defend yourself properly. Every time you tried to explain, it made things worse. That silence was not weakness, it was restraint. God often removes the voice of his chosen ones temporarily so that he can speak for them later. If you had defended yourself emotionally, you would have stepped out of alignment. So God taught you to be still, to let truth speak over time, to trust him with your reputation. And notice this: despite the lies, despite the attacks, despite the resistance, you were never fully destroyed. Hurt? Yes. Delayed? Yes. Discouraged? Yes. But not destroyed. That survival is evidence. There were moments when the pressure became overwhelming, when the attacks felt personal, when you questioned your own heart, when you wondered if it was worth continuing to do good. And some of you reached breaking points where you withdrew completely. You became quieter, guarded, selective. That was not bitterness. That was wisdom being born. God was teaching you discernment through pain. Another pattern you may recognize is this: the more you tried to live right, the more resistance increased. The more you aligned with God, the more complicated things seemed to become. And you asked yourself, why does obedience feel harder than disobedience? Because obedience threatens darkness. Chosen one, when you step into alignment, you disrupt systems that were comfortable without you. Your presence shifts atmospheres. Your obedience exposes compromise. And not everyone wants to change. So instead of adjusting themselves, they try to remove you. That resistance was not proof you were wrong. It was confirmation you were effective. Let me speak to something very sensitive. Many of you internalized these attacks. You started believing maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe I attract this. Maybe I am the problem. And slowly, confidence eroded. Self-trust weakened. Joy faded. That is exactly what the enemy wanted. If he cannot stop your assignment, he will try to exhaust you. If he cannot destroy your calling, he will try to make you doubt it. And if he cannot remove God's favor from your life, he will try to make you resent it. But today, that lie ends. You were not attacked because you were weak. You were attacked because you were strong. You were not betrayed because you were foolish. You were betrayed because you were valuable. You were not resisted because you were wrong. You were resisted because you were chosen. And here is something important. God allowed the attacks, but he controlled the outcome. The enemy overplayed his hand. Every attack forced you to grow. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every lie strengthened your dependence on God. What was meant to stop you actually refined you. This is why chosen ones often come out of warfare quieter, but clearer. Less reactive, but more grounded. Less desperate for approval, but deeply rooted in truth. You no longer need everyone to understand you. You only need God to guide you. And notice this shift happening now. The attacks are changing. The intensity is lifting. The confusion is clearing. The resistance is losing its grip. That is because seasons change when lessons are learned. God does not keep his chosen ones in warfare forever. He allows it long enough to build authority, not trauma. And if you are listening to this right now, it means you are coming out of survival mode and stepping into stability. You are no longer fighting for identity. You are standing in it. Chosen one, you were never cursed. You were contended for. You were never rejected. You were resisted, and you were never abandoned. You were protected, even in battle. The next sign will explain why, despite all of this, you still carried deep intuition, sharp discernment, and an unexplainable hunger for spiritual truth. Stay with me. What comes next will connect everything you have lived through so far. Sign: strong intuition, divine discernment, and spiritual hunger. Chosen one, this sign is quieter than warfare, but it is far more powerful. It is the inner knowing you have carried for as long as you can remember. The awareness that rises in you before evidence appears. The feeling that tells you something is right or wrong long before logic catches up. This is not imagination. This is not emotional sensitivity. This is discernment. God's favorite chosen ones do not rely only on what they see. They sense, they perceive, they recognize shifts before others notice movement. And many of you struggled with this gift early on because you did not know what to call it. You just knew that something in you could not be fooled easily. You walked into rooms and felt heaviness without a word being spoken. You met people who smiled, yet something inside you warned you. You sensed danger, deception, or misalignment even when everything looked fine on the surface. And sometimes, you ignored that inner voice just to fit in. And every time you did, it cost you peace. That voice was not fear. It was guidance. Chosen ones are given discernment because their assignment requires accuracy. God cannot afford confusion in those he sends ahead. So he sharpens your spiritual senses through experience, pain, and observation. That is why you learn to read energy, tone, intention, and silence. You learned what people meant, not just what they said. This also explains why shallow conversations drain you. Small talk feels empty. Surface-level faith feels incomplete. You crave depth because your spirit was designed for truth. You cannot survive on noise. You need meaning. You need substance. You need alignment. That hunger you feel is not dissatisfaction. It is calling. Many of you tried to ignore this hunger. You tried to distract yourself. You tried to live like everyone else. But no matter how busy you stayed, something inside you kept pulling you back to God, back to reflection, back to silence, back to truth. You could walk away temporarily, but you could never stay away, because chosen ones are magnetized to purpose. Another sign of God's favor is that your intuition often proved correct, even when it hurt. You sensed endings before they happened. You felt shifts before they were announced. You knew when someone was about to leave, betray, or change. And instead of trusting yourself, you doubted your own knowing. But time kept confirming it. That repeated confirmation was God training you to trust what he placed inside you. Discernment is not learned in classrooms. It is sharpened in real life, through disappointment, through silence, through watching patterns repeat until you recognize them instantly. And let me say this clearly, discernment is lonely, because once you see clearly, you cannot pretend anymore. You cannot participate in what feels false. You cannot laugh at what grieves your spirit. You cannot agree with what contradicts truth, and that separation often isolates you. But isolation protects clarity. This is why chosen ones often withdraw naturally, not because they are antisocial, but because their spirit needs space to process. Your inner world is active. You are constantly discerning, filtering, sensing, and adjusting. That takes energy, and if you do not guard it, burnout follows. God taught you boundaries through exhaustion. Another sign of divine favor is your relationship with silence. Silence does not scare you, it teaches you. In stillness, you hear clearly. In quiet moments, you receive insight. While others need noise to feel alive, you need silence to feel aligned. This is where many chosen ones misunderstand themselves. They think something is wrong because they need time alone. But solitude is not rejection, it is restoration. Jesus withdrew often, not because he was weak, but because he was carrying weight. So are you. And notice this, your hunger is not just for knowledge, it is for transformation. You are not satisfied with hearing about God. You want to experience him. You want truth that changes you, not entertains you. That hunger is dangerous to complacency, which is why many religious systems frustrate you. You see ritual without relationship, words without power, structure without spirit, and your soul resists it, not out of rebellion, but out of authenticity. God's favorite chosen ones cannot fake faith. This hunger also explains why you feel restless when you are not growing, when you are not learning, when you are not evolving. Comfort becomes suffocating, stagnation becomes painful. You are not designed to stay still spiritually. Growth is not optional for you, it is survival. And let me speak to something deeply personal. Many of you questioned your sanity because of how deeply you feel things. You thought, why do I care so much? Why does this affect me so deeply? Why can't I let things go like others do? It is because your heart is tuned to impact. God wired you to feel so you could heal, to discern so you could protect, to hunger so you could lead. You are not overly sensitive. You are spiritually responsive, but that sensitivity requires discipline. God has been teaching you not to absorb everything you sense, not to carry every burden you perceive. Discernment does not mean responsibility for everything. That lesson is part of maturity. You are learning when to engage and when to release, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to act and when to wait. That balance turns discernment into wisdom. Chosen one, your intuition is not random. Your hunger is not accidental. And your discernment is not a burden. It is a tool. One that God is sharpening because the next season of your life will require clarity, not confusion. You will be placed in spaces where decisions matter, where influence carries consequence, where timing is critical, and God is preparing you to move without hesitation. That is why your spirit has been restless lately, not anxious, activated. In the next part, I will explain why God trusted you with this level of awareness and what your divine assignment truly is. This will bring everything together. Stay with me. You are closer to understanding yourself than you have ever been. Your divine assignment. Why God trusted you with this role. Chosen one, this is where everything begins to make sense. Not just the pain, not just the delays, not just the attacks or the hunger, but the reason behind all of it. God does nothing randomly, and He certainly does not shape a life like yours without intention. What you have been through was not to impress people. It was to prepare you for an assignment that requires depth, restraint, and spiritual authority. God does not choose based on talent first. He chooses based on capacity. He looked at you and saw someone who could carry weight without becoming cruel, someone who could walk through fire without losing compassion, someone who could be corrected without becoming bitter, someone who could be elevated without becoming arrogant. That is rare. And because it is rare, it is costly. Your assignment is not light. That is why your preparation was heavy. Many people want purpose, but they want it without pressure. They want calling without correction. They want influence without intimacy with God. You were never built for that kind of shallow success. God trusted you because He knew you would not misuse what He placed in your hands. Think about your life honestly. You have always felt responsible for more than yourself. You felt called to help, guide, protect, warn, or uplift others, even when you were struggling yourself. You carried wisdom before you had language. You felt leadership before you had position. You sensed responsibility before you had authority. That is assignment awakening early. God trusted you with endurance. That is why your path required patience. He trusted you with truth. That is why you could not live in deception. He trusted you with people's hearts. That is why you were wounded by betrayal, but never allowed to become heartless. Your assignment requires a clean heart. This is also why God stripped you of external validation. Praise could not be your fuel. Applause could not be your motivation. If you depended on people to affirm you, your assignment would be compromised. So God removed the crowd and trained you in silence. He taught you to move when no one was clapping, to obey when no one was watching, to remain faithful when no one noticed. That kind of obedience builds authority. Chosen one, God is not preparing you to blend in. He is preparing you to stand. You may not have a title yet, but you carry weight. When you speak, it will calm storms. When you walk into rooms, atmospheres will shift. When you obey God fully, chains will break quietly. Your assignment may not look dramatic on the outside, but it will be impactful on the inside. You are not called to impress. You are called to influence. You are not called to perform. You are called to be present. And here is something important. Your assignment will require humility daily. God trusted you because He knew you would stay teachable. You would listen before speaking. You would seek Him before acting. You would choose obedience over convenience. That humility is what protects your calling. You may have wondered why God did not give you everything at once, why He released things slowly, why growth felt gradual. It is because your assignment is long-term. God is not rushing you because He plans to use you consistently, not briefly. Burnout disqualifies many. Stability sustains the chosen. Another part of your assignment is this. You are a bridge. You understand both pain and faith. You understand struggle and hope. You understand doubt and obedience. That makes you relatable to those who are lost, broken, or searching. You will reach people others cannot reach because you speak from experience, not theory. God also trusted you with restraint. You know when not to speak. You know when silence is wiser than reaction. You know when to step back instead of forcing outcomes. That restraint is power under control. And let me be clear. Your assignment is not about saving everyone. It is about obedience. God does the saving. You do the serving. You are not responsible for outcomes. You are responsible for alignment. This understanding will free you. Many chosen ones burn themselves out trying to carry what belongs to God. But you are learning now. You are learning to trust God with results, to trust timing, to trust direction. That maturity is essential for what comes next. You are also being prepared to stand alone when necessary, not isolated forever, but comfortable without approval, secure without applause, grounded without constant reassurance. That inner security is rare. God trusted you because He saw your heart would not collapse under responsibility. You would not abuse authority. You would not exploit vulnerability. You would not manipulate for gain. You would lead with integrity, and integrity is expensive. This is why your assignment may not be fully visible yet. God reveals responsibility before recognition. He builds character before platform. He develops foundation before expansion. Chosen one, your assignment will activate at the right time, in the right place, with the right people. You will not miss it. You do not need to chase it. You only need to stay aligned. And let me speak this over you clearly. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not overlooked. You are exactly where you need to be for what God is forming next. The weight you feel is not pressure to perform. It is readiness being tested. In the final part, I will bring everything together and speak directly to your spirit about what God is doing right now in your life and how you are meant to walk forward from here. Stay with me. This is the moment many of you have been waiting for. Let me add this, because this is a truth many chosen ones need to hear right now. God did not only trust you with assignment, He trusted you with restraint. There were moments when you could have retaliated and you did not. Moments when you could have exposed people and you stayed silent. Moments when you could have walked away from faith entirely and somehow you stayed connected, even if only by a thread. That restraint was not weakness. It was evidence of maturity being formed in you. God was watching how you handled power before giving you more of it. You were tested in private, tested when no one would know what choice you made, tested when obedience felt unrewarded, tested when compromise would have been easier and more beneficial in the short term. And every time you chose integrity over impulse, something shifted in the spiritual realm. You may not have seen immediate results, but authority was being built. This is also why God allowed you to experience seasons of humility. You were placed in positions where you had to serve without recognition, where your voice was ignored, where your efforts were unseen. That was not to diminish you. It was to purify your motives. God wanted to make sure you would never confuse assignment with ego, because once ego enters purpose, effectiveness leaves. Another thing God trusted you with is waiting without becoming resentful. You watched others receive what you prayed for. You watched less disciplined people advance faster. And yet something inside you refused to become bitter. Tired, yes. Discouraged, sometimes. But not bitter. That alone separates you from many. God trusts those who can wait without poisoning their own spirit. And hear this carefully. Your assignment will not require you to become someone else. It will require you to become more of who you already are. God is not replacing your personality. He is refining it. He is not silencing your voice. He is strengthening it. He is not shrinking your heart. He is guarding it. What you are sensing now is not confusion. It is transition. The old ways of functioning no longer fit, but the new ways are still forming. That in-between space feels uncomfortable, but it is holy. Do not rush out of it. Because when God releases you into the next phase, you will move with clarity, not chaos. With authority, not anxiety. With peace, not pressure. You are closer than you think, and God has not forgotten a single thing He promised you. Conclusion. Final affirmation, activation, and peace. Chosen one, take a breath and let this settle in your spirit. Nothing about your life has been accidental. Not the pain, not the waiting, not the confusion, and certainly not the strength you carry today. God has been intentional with you from the beginning. He has watched every step, counted every tear, and guarded you through moments you did not even recognize as danger. You are not imagining this calling, you are not exaggerating your sensitivity, and you are not wrong for feeling different. You were formed this way on purpose. God's favorite chosen ones are not loud, rushed, or reckless. They are steady, they are discerning, they are grounded, and they move when God says move. What you are feeling now is not fear, it is readiness. Not pressure, but positioning. God is not asking you to strive. He is asking you to trust, to stay aligned, to remain faithful in small things while He prepares the greater ones. Do not compare your journey to others. They are not built for what you are built for. Do not rush your process. Timing protects destiny. And do not doubt your worth when silence comes. God does some of His deepest work in quiet seasons. Remember this and carry it with you. You were never abandoned. You were never overlooked. You were being prepared. And what God prepares carefully, He releases powerfully. Before you go, chosen ones, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon so you don't miss the next message, and share this with another chosen one who needs confirmation today. And comment 777 in the comments as a declaration that you accept God's favor, timing, and assignment over your life. Walk forward in peace. God's hand is still on you.